India completes 74 years of independence this Saturday. As citizens, we have achieved several goals, including numerous financial ones. However, as individuals, how independent are we financially? Especially Gen Y and Z, the generation which is known to spend more, save less, buy now and worry later. Now hit by COVID, millennials' uncertainties have increased further. So in this video, I have with me Mr. Rahul Jain, Head of Edelweiss Wealth Management, to shed some light on how millennials who have been dealing with a monetary COVID crisis can stay on the path to financial independence and what additional steps they can take. So let's get right to it. So let's start with what you think the term financial independence entails. What are the parameters or say conditions for one to achieve financial independence?
So if you see, the word independence itself means the ability to live one's life on own terms without being influenced by external environment or people, etc. Generally in financial world, independence or the thinking of financial independence as a word comes when you're thinking of retirement or you're nearing the retirement. Effectively, financial independence in financial world parlance means that your finances in such a way that you are in a peaceful existence without any stress related to money. It's a state of affairs where one is liberated, and I think they don't want to think about the paycheck month to month. Effectively, another way to look at it is that if you see, there are two types of needs. What we have daily needs, and we have lifestyle needs, and then we have some goals. And if that money get accrues from your investment on a monthly basis or annual basis, then you can term yourself as financially independent as an individual. And achieving financial independence is possible only when you built up investment corpus, surplus, fortune, by being more disciplined, thinking about, planning about in a structured way, and then finally over a period of time, compounding plays a role and start paying you off.
So, in a situation where pay cuts and layoffs have been ample and things still remain uncertain, what is the very first step or course of action you would advise a young earner to take? What is it that they should secure or look out for?
One is that you should have comfortable cash flows, and since you're thinking or you're seeing a situation may arise of pay cut or layoffs, you should have a good contingency fund which is equivalent to 6 months of your regular expenses. That is one. Another important one is that we are thinking about such a distress coming in future, but we continue with the discretionary lifestyle expenses going on. I think the point is that you should reduce on that significantly, save more for the rainy day. And another important one is then in the situation like a pandemic, I think having an adequate health cover over that would be an important one, because in current situation, if you take current situation into context, a health cover is also important, apart from creating a contingency fund and reducing expenses, because the expense of curing problem is also very huge. So in that sense, these three are very important components or parameters.
Exactly what you said, and that brings us to the fact that millennials have typically been associated with spending more and saving less, and like spending now and worrying later about it, living the buy now pay later life. So do you think this kind of an outlook possesses a threat to ultimate financial independence later on?
Yeah, it's 100% a big threat for financial independence for future, for sure. Yeah, the approach of YOLO, what says you only live this approach, where you manage a life by spending more and saving less. And I think that also creates a habit of reckless spending. And we have seen that when we talk to a lot of consumers, a lot of clients, they get into debt trap. They use credit cards for doing a lot of purchases, and the interest rate on credit cards is huge, etc. They come into debt trap. When you talk about financial independence, I think we say reverse of the same, that save more and spend less, so that in future you are in peaceful. But in this concept is automatically it's something which is reverse. And also there's a common saying in financial world, from financial planning point of view, that out of the money which comes to your salary, in terms of salary or income, what you make, 40% you should save. That is a benchmark which you should keep. If you're able to do that, then you will be able to create a corpus for yourself in future. And having the right asset allocation, right matrix of saving, and not get into that YOLO concept or getting into debt trap. If you go into that, then you're sure the disaster is in making. There is no doubt around it.
Our parents and elders have always emphasized on real estate, gold, FDs, and basically traditional investments. Given everything that is happening right now, how much should we allocate to these asset classes?
So, if you ask me, irrespective of situation, whether it's pandemic, whether it's not pandemic, whether it's bull, whether it's bear market, I think the core principle of investment has to be asset allocation, which is derived on the basis of your age, your risk appetite, investment horizon. A common formula, which is an easy one to be used because people think asset allocation is a very complicated exercise. 100 minus the age can be your equity portfolio. So suppose someone is 30 age of 30, then at a very macro level, you can put 70% in equity and 30% in debt, or 20% and 10% in gold. I think that is the way you should look at it in your asset allocation portfolio. And in debt, you can have FD, which is again very, very traditional, which our parents also used to use. But largely, asset allocation is the model which needs to be used, and the allocation depends on your risk profile, your age, etc. And again, you can use the formula 100 minus age, and then finally have the right portfolio for yourself. And I'm sure once you're able to do that, review that regularly, you'll be able to build a fortune for all your time.
Okay. Finally, coming to the last question, another asset class, equity. Like you mentioned, equity has had only seen inflows until recently, but after 4 years, equity mutual funds witnessed the first month of their net outflows in July 2020. Now, many say that young earners have time on their side, and so compounding really plays its part. But this sort of forms a dilemma for a lot of us, one between your need to save or that for urgent cash, and that to let your wealth grow. So, what would you suggest? How do we look at this situation?
So, when it comes to investing, or when it comes to building a portfolio for future or a corpus for future, I spoken earlier also, you need have a comprehensive and a planned approach. I assume that whenever you're thinking of investing in equity, you've already taken care of your regular expenses and contingency fund. That is when you can start thinking about investing in equities.
Right.
Equity as an asset class is a fairly, what do you say, growth oriented. If you think of long term basis, to just give you one example, suppose you are at the age of 30 right now and you want to invest for next 30 years, do a 1,000 rupees of SIP, just 1,000 rupees of SIP.
Yeah.
In next 30 years, you'll invest 3,60,000 rupees. At the great growth rate or the growth what mutual funds have shown in large cap, or you look at Nifty, exchange indexes, etc., which is in range of 12 to 15%, that 3,60,000 will become 70 lakh rupees.
Right.
So 1,000 every month for 30 years, next year will become 70 lakhs. So that is the power of compounding.
Yeah.
And now if this becomes 5,000, then it becomes 3.5 crores, which can be a substantial amount seeing what you have invested. But discipline, and as if you start early, it helps you more. So this has to be understood effectively, that when you are thinking of investing in equities, you have to think long term. I'm sure you would have taken care of your expenses, or you've taken care of building a contingency fund. And then after what is remaining, you can put in SIPs format. And if you do it consistently for a longer period of time, I think it will grow and can build a substantial amount of corpus.